Welcome to the AFR Saints channel, where we provide you daily content on your favorite team, the New Orleans Saints. Do us a favor and hit that subscribe button. Be sure to leave your comments below and smash that like button. Who dat? How would you feel if the Saints brought back Teddy Bridgewater? I bring this up because Bill Barnwell over at ESPN.com has a feature up right now, and it's essentially every quarterback needy team in the NFL and what their situation is like, basically. So right now, this is what the Saints are looking at. Of course, Andy Dalton's the starter. They just beat Atlanta. And Dalton had a nice day. 11 of 17 for 151 and 2 scores. Didn't set the world on fire, but a nice day. Dalton is a free agent after this season. And the Saints are most certainly going to cut Jameis Winston. Can we all agree on that? Like, they've made it to this point in the season. Jameis has not regained his starting job. They would owe him some $15 million next year. They're going to cut him, and he'd be owed $12.8 million next season. By cutting him, they'll save about $4.5 million against the cap. So I think we can all agree they're going to cut Jameis Winston, right? If they had any intention of retaining him and seeing what they thought might be there, they would be playing him right now. They're not going to. I think we're all there. So if you're going to cut Jameis, Dalton's a free agent. Taysom Hill is still under contract, but the Taysom Hill as a franchise quarterback ship also has sailed. So now you look at, okay, you don't have a top draft pick, so you're not yet. You trade it away. Otherwise, you'd be picking likely in the top 5, top 10 somewhere, and you'd have an opportunity to get one of the best quarterbacks in the draft. You're not going to have that option this year. So you start to look at the class of free agents. There's Tom Brady, Baker Mayfield, Sam Darnold, Jimmy Garoppolo, Teddy Bridgewater. I mean, look, follow the list with me, Paul. If you want to pull this up, you can. I mean, here's the list of free agents. I mean, this is your list of free agent quarterbacks. So if you're the Saints and you're picking a free agent, Brady, Baker, Darnold, Jimmy G, Teddy B, Daniel Jones, who it seems like will probably be back in New York now, Case Keenum, Mason Rudolph, Jacoby Brissett, Geno Smith, Joe Flacco, the aforementioned Andy Dalton, Mike White with the Jets, C.J. Beathard, Kyle Allen, Taylor Heineke, Lamar Jackson, Blaine Gabbert. That's the name I was trying to remember last week, the long-haired quarterback from Missouri. Chase Daniel, Chad Henne, Nick Mullins, Drew Lock, Brandon Allen, Josh Johnson, Nate Sudfeld, Nathan Peterman, Cooper Rush. Make it happen. Brett Rippon, Tyler Huntley, John Wolford, Phillip Walker, Trace McSorley, Jared Stidham, Bryce Perkins, Easton Stick, Garner Minshew, and Shane Buechele. That's your crop of free agent quarterbacks for this season. Pipe dream, maybe Baltimore decides to let a former MVP walk and you sign Lamar Jackson and you make the money work however you structure it in a long-term deal, whatever. Some may say, well, what about Jimmy G? Jimmy Garoppolo and Teddy Bridgewater are the same player. Do you realize this? If you're like, I did this exercise today and looked at them side by side. They're the same guy. Jimmy G has played in 74 games. Teddy Bridgewater has played in 77 games. Jimmy Garoppolo has thrown for 14,000 yards. Teddy Bridgewater has thrown for 14,900 yards. Jimmy G, 87 touchdowns. Teddy, 74. Jimmy G, 42 picks. Teddy, 46. They are the same freaking guy. They're the same guy. Yes, Garoppolo has had more team success in San Francisco. He's also played for a really good team with great defenses, well coached, good skill around him, all that sort of stuff. So situation matters. It's the same guy. So if you're the Saints, you're looking at this offseason like, okay, I still maintain that you've got to draft a quarterback. And I'm guessing you probably agree with me on that. And I know the majority of Saints fans, we have these conversations. It's, hey, do you think Hendon Hooker would be available at the top of round 2? I think so, and I hope so. If you're like, I'm a Hendon Hooker fan. I like the fact that he came back to school. I like that he's mature. I love the touch and accuracy he has on the deep ball. I think he was the best player in college football this year and should have won the Heisman Trophy, but voters are cowards, and they basically abide by these stupid unwritten rules where it's like, if you get hurt and don't play the last game, then you're out, which is stupid, but that's how it is. In any event, if Hendon Hooker's there at the top of round 2 whenever the Saints pick and they take him, I'd be over the moon. I also don't want to go into next season with only Hendon Hooker or whomever you draft as your option at quarterback. You'd love to have the opportunity to have that guy compete with a veteran, and if the rookie wins it, awesome. And if not, you've got a veteran who's played a lot of football, and you can bring the rookie along slowly. Essentially what Atlanta did this year. Marcus Mariota, Desmond Ridder. That's the example. Like, that's the analogy. Veteran who's been around, started before, won some games, lost some games, never going to be a franchise quarterback again. Young guy who you're hoping develops, and you hit the way Seattle hit on Russ in round 3, Kirk Cousins in round 4, Dak in round 4. You know the list by now. That's the hope. Jalen Hurts in round 2. That's the hope. And so the Saints are going to have to bring in a veteran to go along with whoever the rookie is that they bring in this year, that they draft, because I'm assuming they will. Do you want Andy Dalton back? I mean, you could look at Andy and say, well, at least he's got experience in this organization, in this system, with these coaches, and maybe that's the answer that they'll arrive at. It most certainly isn't going to be Jameis. I think we know that by now. They're going to cut him, they're going to save the money, and they'll move on. But the question is, would you rather 35 going to 36-year-old Andy Dalton or 30-year-old Teddy Bridgewater, who was such a core part of the Saints in 2018 and then 2019 when Breeze got hurt, was beloved, the whole bike life dance, personality notwithstanding, which is fantastic. I mean, he's such a likable guy and has been his whole career. As a quarterback, he's probably a better option in that he is younger than Andy Dalton, but will deliver essentially the same thing. So maybe it's just sort of a mixed bag, a hodgepodge of the same style of average. If you're talking about 35-year-old Andy Dalton, 30-year-old Teddy Bridgewater, 31-year-old Jimmy G, whatever it may be, like, you're talking about basically the same guy, a guy that's played a lot of football, is never going to be a top 10 quarterback or franchise quarterback, but could be a good stopgap or bridge to the younger guy. And that's probably the Saints' best option, unless they decide we're going to go all in and make Lamar Jackson an offer he can't refuse to come be our franchise quarterback. And I don't know that the Saints have arrived at that decision. What I do know is a year ago, boy, they took a really heavy swing at Deshaun Watson. Right? They entered into those sweepstakes. So they were on the list for Russ. Like, they have been in these conversations to land a franchise quarterback, and the only one on the list of free agents this year that would actually qualify is a guy in Lamar Jackson that's been an MVP. But if Lamar ends up staying in Baltimore, then your options are you bring in a veteran as a bridge to whoever it is that you draft this year, likely in round 2. And if you gave me my options, I would take Teddy Bridgewater. I would take Teddy Bridgewater over Andy Dalton, over Jimmy Garoppolo, over any list, anybody on that list we just read off to you. But what's clear is the Saints' future, their franchise is not on the roster now. We all know that. And the sincere hope is you get it in the draft. And if you do, then your path back to competing is accelerated. Look at the Philadelphia Eagles. In ultimately missing on Carson Wentz and eating $40-some-odd million of dead money that could have crippled that organization. But what saved them is they hit a home run in the second round with Jalen Hurts. That's the Saints' path. We've talked about the young guys, Rashid Shaheed, Caden Ellis. You're looking at these young guys on Juwan Johnson, on undrafted rookie free agent deals. They're inherently affordable, which helps your cap situation. Now you got to have it at quarterback as well. But who do you have to bridge the gap? I'd say I'd take Teddy B over any of the others on the list that we discussed. Hey, thanks so much for watching. Please leave your comments. I love to interact. And be sure to hit the red subscribe button below.